It wasn't the letter that pushed me over the edge, though getting a formal complaint from the HOA about my 10-foot rock wall me own damn engineering masterpiece was a slap in the face. No, it was the voicemail that came after, dripping with condescension, from Karen Mitchell, our freshly anointed HOA president. She called my meticulously designed retaining wall a monstrosity bolted to the hillside, and declared it would be torn down by months in for the sake of the neighborhood's safety and elegance. I've been a structural engineer for nearly 4 decades, 37 years to be exact. I've built bridges in Colorado's high country, stabilized slopes in the landslide-prone Pacific Northwest. If there's one thing I know better than brewing a strong pot of coffee, it's how to keep a hill from sliding into someone's living room. So when I settled into this slopeside fixer-upper in Pinewood Heights, just me, my old toolbox, and a craving for peace and retirement, I took one look at the shaky incline in my backyard and knew my first project wouldn't be a fancy deck or a rose garden, it'd be a retaining wall. This wasn't about ego. I used gabions, those wire cages packed with rocks. Not glamorous, but tough, affordable, and breathable. I layered in geogrid, drainage pipes, solid footing, the works. The city inspector gave it a thumbs up, and I've got the permits laminated, hanging in my shed like trophies. That wall was a fortress, safe, and, in its gritty, blue-collar way, kind of beautiful. But apparently, it didn't fit Karen's vision of suburban perfection or her gardening club's HOA manifesto. At first, I brushed it off. Every neighborhood has a Karen, someone who color-codes her pantry and thinks a well-trimmed hedge is a personality trait. I figured I'd show her the permits, walk her through the geology, and we'd be done. Big mistake. The first notice arrived in a stiff yellow envelope, typed in screaming caps and underlined like a ransom note. Unapproved structure. Remove within 60 days or face fines. No warning, no discussion, no inspection. I called the number, got voicemail, left a message. Then I hand-delivered a packet schematics, drainage plans, slope stability charts, and the city's glowing permit, with the line about essential for slope integrity highlighted in neon yellow. Then came Karen's voicemail, crisp and smug. Mr. Larson, we've reviewed your documents. Unfortunately, your wall's appearance violates Section 8.3 of our HOA guidelines. Gabions are not approved materials, city permits are not. It must be removed by May 20th. Thank you for your compliance. Compliance? I've been called stubborn, meticulous, even a pain in the ass, but never non-compliant. I requested an emergency HOA meeting, thinking maybe she'd misread the data, or at least we could hash it out like adults. Nope. Karen swept into the community center like she was presiding over a federal inquiry, flanked by 2 board members who looked like they'd rather be at a root canal. I stood up, laid out the wall's purpose, its design, its necessity. I showed them how the slope was loose fill, a disaster waiting to happen without reinforcement. I pulled up before and after satellite images, pointed out the hairline cracks in the yards uphill that my wall was holding back. Karen didn't blink. We're not here to argue engineering theories, Mr. Larson, she said, her voice sharp as a paper cut. This is about unity. Unity? As if a landslide would care about matching her azaleas. I left that meeting with a knot in my stomach and a deadline ticking like a bomb. I hoped it was just posturing, but 3 weeks later, I came back from visiting my daughter and found my wall gone. Not dismantled, obliterated. The gabions were ripped out, rocks scattered, the dirt left raw and slumping like an open wound. No erosion barriers, no tarps, not even a caution tape. Just a flimsy sign staked in the mud. Future wildflower zone, courtesy of HOA. I stood there, rain soaking my jacket, fists clenched, heart hammering. 5 minutes passed before I could move. Inside, I poured a glass of water, opened my laptop, and started documenting. Every day, I photographed the slope, measured soil creep with stakes, logged rainfall, tracked new fissures in the yards above. Trees began to lean. Water pooled instead of draining. I warned the uphill neighbors. One, Lisa Bennett, a sharp-eyed attorney, listened. You're saying if this hill goes, my deck could end up in your yard? She asked. Not could, I said. Will. Within 3 weeks, the slope shifted 4 inches. One night, I heard a sound I'll never forget, a low, guttural groan, like the earth itself was exhaling. The hill was moving. I emailed the HOA, no reply. Sent a certified letter, ignored. I cornered Karen at the supermarket. She rolled her eyes. If it collapses, it's because your hideous wall destabilized it, she snapped. Lady, I said, voice steady. My wall was the only thing keeping that hill from meeting its maker. Then came the storm. 3 days of relentless rain, the kind that sinks into your bones and makes the world feel like it's drowning. I couldn't sleep. At 3:40 a.m., staring out my window with a flashlight, I heard a sharp crack, then a long, ripping roar. Silence. Then screams. I ran outside, soaked in seconds, and saw it. Half the hillside gone. 3 backyards obliterated. A playground twisted into plastic shards. Mud buried everything, with deck chairs jutting out like gravestones. A neighbor's dog spun in circles, barking, caked in muck. A woman broke her ankle. A kid needed stitches from shattered glass. No one died, thank God, but it was close. Karen showed up 20 minutes later, bathrobe flapping, mascara streaking, pointing a finger at me. This is on you, she shrieked. I didn't shout back. I just handed her a folder of every photo, permit, timestamp, and said, hope you've got good lawyers. By noon, the city cordoned off the area. A geotechnical inspector, someone I'd met at a conference years ago, shook my hand. Wish they'd listened to you, he said. I just nodded. The fallout was swift. A leaked email, probably from Susan, the HOA treasurer, showed Karen writing. Even if he's right, that wall looks like a junkyard. We'll remove it and deal with the rest later. Later had arrived, and it brought lawsuits. The city slapped the HOA with an injunction for tampering with a permitted structure. Lisa led a class action suit with other homeowners. Susan quit. Karen tried to pin it on a contractor, but no one bought it. The board was voted out, the HOA dissolved. The county built a new gabion wall, nearly identical to mine, to stabilize the slope. I didn't rebuild. I wasn't just bitter, though. I was plenty of that. I was done. I sold the house to a young couple, handed them a flash drive with every scrap of data, and warned them, don't mess with retaining walls. They nodded, smiling, saying, at least the worst is over. I chuckled. During all this, something else happened. My daughter, 29 now, saw the news and called. We'd drifted since her mom died. Dad, she said, I didn't know you had that kind of fight left. I laughed. You'd be shocked what comes out when someone tears down your work with a smirk. She visited. We drank terrible coffee, fixed my gate, and talked like family again. As I packed my last box, I walked out back. The hill was stable, scarred but healing. I drove a small sign into the ground where my wall once stood. Respect the ones who know how to hold things together. So what do you think? Was I wrong to dig in my heels, or did Karen and her crew just hate admitting they didn't understand the ground they stood on? Drop your thoughts below. I am listening.